sun burns the ground. And my eyes filled with sand. As I scan this wasted land, trying to find where I've trace, like thoughts inside a dream. Here's the path that led me to that place, yellow desert screen. My Shangri-La beneath the summer moon, I will return again. And the dust that floats high into when moving through the
everybody. Welcome to another episode of Crush Live Call-ins. I'm your host here, Mark Hansen. Wanted to start right on time here today because I'm going off to play in another live stream right after the show at the Palms, similar to last week. So I got to get out of here, but we're taking 5 calls, so we're going to start right away. Thank you guys for joining me in the live chat. Thank you to Mike G, Crush Live Poker, moderator extraordinaire over there. And if you want to get on the show, you can click on the link in the description for instructions. Takes you to a frequently asked question over on the site with the email and the proper formatting to get on the show. We actually have 2 calls, I think, that are non-hand calls here this week, and then some interesting other calls as well. I put up a Tom Dwan video up on the YouTube channel when he called with 9 high. I tweeted about it today. It doesn't amaze me, but I just laugh out loud how many people think that he called for information. It's the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard of in my life, but it just doesn't really surprise me. But anyways, that's how you get on the show. Let's get it going here. We're going to kick off here, I believe, with a non-hand call. And this is Johnny. Hello, Johnny. You are up first, sir. What's going on?
Hey, man. How's it going?
Good.
Yeah, so I have the 2 games that I have regular access to are both structured pretty terribly. So I was wondering if you could just like kind of walk me through the math and the numbers and see which one, is kind of the lesser of 2 evils.
Okay. So it's a question of rake, right? Or
yeah, it's really
structure.
just rake and
Okay.
drop, and
Okay.
they're both bad, but which one's more bad?
Okay, sure.
So one of them's kind of a small little Southern California casino, and the big game in the room is a 2-3 with a $300 max buy-in.
Okay.
And it's got a 5+1 drop structure, just a flat drop, and then plus an extra 1 if you make it to the river. So
Right.
if you make it to the river, $7 are coming out of every hand.
Well, that's like every LA game now, right?
Yeah, exactly. That's
Okay,
the
so
and the bummer.
Right. LA
Yeah,
drop
it's-
structure.
Yeah, and it's all that's the biggest game that runs in the room ever.
Okay.
Is that 2-3 game.
Mhm.
And it's decent action. I've put about 250 hours into the game, and I'm beating it for about $35 an hour.
Okay.
It's not a great sample size, but it's something. It's kind of annoying though, because there's a lot of short buys, like people can buy in for 100, so that happens a lot. So it's not that fun, but I'm pretty sure it's beatable.
What's the buy-in cap in the game?
300.
$300 buy-in. So it's a
Yeah,
a 2-3 300 buy-in cap with a flat 6+1 at the end, or 5+1+1 drop. And of course, people that don't know what drop is, and I spoke about this on the Doug Polk podcast, and he didn't really know what drop was either. It doesn't matter how big the pot is. Once there's a flop, they take the entire amount, and then they'll take extra on the turn on the river. This is different from like Vegas, where there's a rake where it could be 10% up to $4 or $5, where if you're playing a 2-3 game and the pot's only $10, they're only going to take $1. Here at 2-3, if one person limps in and the blinds check incomplete, they're going to take $7 out of 10 at the end if there's no betting to the river.
That's it.
Okay.
So that's one game. Then I recently got invited to a home game that I've gone to several times, and it's a 5-5 game, but it's usually like $30 to $40 open sizes, so it plays more like a 5-10, and it's a match the stat game. So a lot of times there's like multiple people at the table who are like 2 to 4K deep, and it's the best action I've ever seen at a table. These are people who apparently don't care that much about money. Calling with any 2 pre-flop for like up to $150, $200. There's every dealer change. There's a $25 double board, no limit bomb pot. And nobody seems to have any clue, like anything anywhere near optimal ways to play those. And then once a night, there's a $400 splash double board bomb pot. So anyways, so that sounds great.
What's the advertised rake in this game?
Yeah, there's no advertised rake, but just from my observation, it seems like it's anywhere like somewhere between 5 and 10%. But it's up to a $25 cap. I've never seen them take more than 25, but that still seems huge.
Do you know the proprietor of this game?
No, I mean not well. I think I've been maybe 4 times so far.
The game that are they renting space, or is it in someone's home?
No, it's in someone's home.
Okay. So I was going to say, because if they're renting space right off the bat, it's absolutely for profit. I don't know. Sometimes it might, you'd be really surprised that some of the real recreational players don't even know that they're taking a rake out of the pot. But my problem, and I have played in some quasi home games in LA, although I don't know if it's in somebody's home, maybe this one could be okay. But, always the issue was the dealers taking out extra money out of the pot that you can't even see.
Yeah, dude, that's the thing is like this last week I was really watching. I'm like, hold on, man, because they got, they put the drop or the rake over on the side that goes in down the slot. But then this last week I'm like, hold on, each dealer's pulling an extra 5 per hand out of here. So apparently it's actually a $30 cap, but I didn't notice that prior to the last time I went.
When you said it's not advertised and you said it's a $25 cap, who told you it was a $25 cap?
It's just observation, just me watching every hand.
So there is no rules about the cap then.
No, but I've never seen them drop more than 25.
Okay, so there are no rules. They can take but you say that they mostly take 25. Well, obviously, they can take more than 25. I mean, here's the thing: the difference here, besides the fact that I was going to say that even if they were just taking what they said that they were taking,
right?
Or you notice that there was a $25 cap, you've got these other things like dealer tipping. Maybe they don't have $1 chips at the at the table, and again, the proprietors are not letting the dealers walk out of there with $3,000 for the night. That's usually taxed by the house. So the dealers get like 20% of that, 25, who knows what it is, something reasonable. The point though that I'm making here is that even if none of those shenanigans were really going on, you sort of just have to do the math out where what kills you in Southern California games, in small cap games, small buy-in cap games, is the fact that they take so much money out in the small plots. And the lower stakes that you play, the more unbeatable that it gets. I mean, I don't know where you play. I know you kind of don't want to be open about that, but like if it's a true $300 cap buy-in and the drop is $7, unless you are playing like less than say 15 hours a week at the absolute best times of the week where you can get deep with people and you're playing for long sessions, I don't think there's any way that $35 an hour is sustainable in an average game where the average stack, usually if it's the smallest game in the room or the only game in the room, is going to be less than even the max buy-in. You just have to do the math. I mean, 30 hands an hour, even if they don't even go to all $7 an hour, say it's on average like $6 an hour, 175 per hour coming off the table. If the average stack is 175, they're dropping a stack per hour. So after 8 hours, all the money's gone. It just doesn't make it, the math doesn't add up. So the other thing though, too, about the home games though, it can be great action. I've seen stuff where there'll be sort of house players that will sort of artificially give action, make it seem like there's a lot of action in the game when there really isn't all that. I mean, but what they're doing is they're trying to juice the pot up so the pots get bigger so that they can take more and you don't notice it. That's the point. And it's kind of weird. Like it's not necessarily they're teaming up on you, but it's like you're playing against multiple artificial hands and they're just taking a deeper and deeper commission based upon how big the pot is. So you got to do the math out. Because Southern California small stakes games are dropped so much, if the game was on the square, the home game that you're talking about, where none of these other shenanigans were going on, and it's a true match the stack game, I could see that game being probably more profitable than the small stakes California game. This is why I always say small stakes California to race to get to the $5 blind level to even really think about playing profitable. But $35, there's just no way that's going to be, that's really no way that's going to really be able to be sustained over the long term. Again, I think it's a thing where you have to really, really play at the best times in some of these cap games for you to maximize the win rate. And then if there's situations where you get deep with a lot of bad players, you have to stay there longer. This is the opposite of where most people take the approach, which is the wrong approach, where they stay longer and chase their losses. No, you need to stay longer when you're winning because you're trying to get more money on the table. People are rebuying and you need to get deep with the people. That's the art of trying to win the most money in a capped, restricted buy-in game.
Yeah, makes sense. And so you think that just like my 250-hour sample size is just too small, and I'm going to see that come down over time. I mean, I do tend to play, just like Friday, Saturday nights, maybe some Thursday nights when the games are the best for sure. I mean, I have a job, so that's kind of the only times I can play. Yeah. Anyways, that's what you think.
I mean, what do you, so you do? Yes, I definitely do it. Unless unless they don't enforce the cap buy-in where like you can just come in and buy in for 1,000 when everyone else is all deep. I mean, there are some places that just don't care.
No, they're really nitty about it.
Yeah, I mean, that would really be the difference.
Makes sense.
I mean that's definitely the difference right there. But as far as like it over the long term, I don't know. I just I don't really see it. But I would really keep track of that other game though too. Keep track of the money that they're taking off the
I
table.
absolutely do. Yeah.
One of the easiest ways to do that is try to add up in your head who won and who lost and how much money is at the table at the end. But it's all sort of a math problem. It's good that it's in somebody's house, which means that it's less likely to be for just pure profit. I've also seen situations where the proprietors are just total degens and they just run a game so to sort of supplement like their gambling habit. They can't beat the game or their sports gambling and they decide to run a game because they're great action and they pour a lot of money back into the game. But I also think that playing small stakes California kind of stunts your growth with large open sizes and restricted buy-ins, because the real way to play those games is just like super nitty, like 10% of your hands. You don't really learn a whole lot. I think sometimes it actually stunts your growth as a player if you want to get better. Now, maybe that's the only option for you if there isn't a bigger game around. But, that's my take on it.
Cool. Yeah, that's great. I appreciate your feedback, and I'll take that under advisement and kind of keep playing them both and keep track of as much of the mathematical fluctuations as I can.
All right. Yeah. By the way, someone in the live chat said, yeah, go to Texas where you pay $10 an hour, no matter what the stakes are. That really is an incredible deal. But thank you for the call very much. Appreciate it.
Absolutely. Take it easy, man.
All right, Johnny. All right. So like I said, we're moving through here, zooming through because I got to go play on the Palm. So next caller here is going to be Garland in the 415. Garland has called many, many times on this show. Hello, Garland. How you doing? Garland? Garland? I see Garland here. Garland, we can't hear you. Maybe your mic is not set up here. Garland, I don't know if you want to try to give a call back or what, but I do have a couple other people hanging on the line here, but then I just realized that I need to do something here while you guys are here, because I forgot to set something up. So give me 1 second while Garland gives a call back. Hopefully Garland can give a call back here and we can get this thing going. Still can't hear you, Garland. Still can't hear you, Garland. I don't know if Garland's going to give a call back or what, but all right. So let's go to our next caller here who...
Hello?
Oh, Garland, is that you?
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, there you are. Yeah, you're on the computer and on the phone, but I'll drop you on the phone.
The microphone for some reason is not working on the computer, so I dialed in.
Okay. All right, so you got a hand for us, buddy?
Yes.
Okay.
I do. Just bring it up quickly. So I'm playing at the Oaks.
At the Oaks,
Art
okay.
Club.
Okay. Uh-huh.
The blinds are 2, 3, 5.
Okay, so 2, 3, 5. By the way, Garland is very familiar with the Southern California rake too, right?
Yeah, it's pretty horrible. Yeah.
All
Not much better in Northern California.
Yeah,
After
right.
that.
2, 3, 5 at the Oaks, which of course is in Oakland, right? Okay.
Yeah. Anyway, they've been playing with a winner's straddle, but I think in this particular hand they did not. So pre-flop under the gun limp,
Okay.
semi-competent regular players. Might be a winning player.
Okay.
Someone else limps,
Mm-hmm.
and I have Queen of Hearts, 3 of Spades on the button. I normally just pitch it, but since I'm invested for 2, I figured 3 more.
So this is
good
something
for
that
it.
I always forget about Northern California. You said you have Queen of Hearts, 3 of Spades. Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay. So this is something that when I go up to the Bay Area, I always forget about. So the smallest blind here in the Bay Area in Northern California is on the button. So we have a situation here where it's 2, 3, 5, 2's on the button, 2 people have limped in. So Garland's getting a price here of $3 on the button. And I had always said that I would really have a hard time folding almost any hand here in this given situation when they're on the button. Sure, I wouldn't complete in the small blind, maybe with some of the worst hands. And maybe you pitch Garland like 7 deuce off or something like that. But certainly any 2 suited cards, even Queen 3 off, you're getting such a price in position. I haven't heard sort of the math of this discussed. That's just sort of my take on it. So before people were like, "Oh, he's got queen 3 off," this is why, right? So you call, okay?
Right, exactly. I wouldn't
Yeah.
have called it.
Right.
I had $2 vested, right?
Sure.
So
Sure. Okay.
anyway, small blind completes, big blind checks.
Okay. So
$20 in the pot without the
yeah.
rake.
So small blind completes, big blind checks, and so it's 1, 2, 3, 5 ways, right?
It's 5. Yes, 5 ways.
Okay.
Flop comes king of clubs, 3 of clubs, 3 of diamonds.
King of clubs, 3 of clubs, 3 of diamonds. So you flop trips here. Is that right? Here?
Yeah.
Yeah. We actually had a similar call a couple of weeks ago where a guy did VPIP as a limp, but I said just pretend. We'll pretend that the guy posted dead. But here, like I said, if you ever play in Northern California, you can actually be in a situation. So front door flush draw, king 3-3. You have queen 3 off when you complete it on the button when you're in for 2. Okay.
Right. So the action checks to me,
Mhm.
and I think I'm gonna bet here and just get value from flush draws, kings, whatever. Right.
Yep.
So I bet 15.
Okay.
Pulls under the gun, and then he min clicks it to 30.
So it gets checked to you. You bet 15. The under the gun limper min raises to 30.
Right.
Right. Okay. Okay.
I don't think I have any choice. I have to call.
Well,
least,
I mean, you
right?
could call a 3-bet. You know?
Right. I mean, I'm not folding, but I mean, I'm going to call or 3-bet, but I didn't think that 3-bet, like you usually have an ace 3, for example, right? I guess is
Yeah,
one thing.
I mean, the first thing that I would look at is obviously like ace 3, but if he's playing reasonable, and some people aren't, if he doesn't have ace 3 off, there's only one ace 3 that he can have here, right? One specific
Right.
combo of a hand. So
Mhm.
ace 3 of hearts, right? Because you have the 3 of spades, the 3 of clubs, and 3 of diamonds are out there. He could probably just be doing this with the king. You don't necessarily want to blow him off that. I mean, how deep did you say you were? I might have missed it. How deep are the bets?
1,000 effective.
Yeah, so, I think a standard play here would be to call against a check raise, but you guys are so deep here that I wonder if I would actually start building up right now. I don't buy that he ever has kings full. One of the other things you have to understand in a lot of these $5 blind games is people love to limp re-raise the shit. So they could have aces, they could have ace king, and I might just go up. If you went 15 and somebody made it like 50 or 60, I might just call. But you're so deep, I think I might just. I think I would 3-bet here, and start building now. But you called, is that right?
I mean, maybe against certain opponents I would if I knew they had a 3 and they could never let it go. But this particular opponent, I'm trying to be a little bit cagey and.
Well, it's not even just a 3. Just like, I don't know if someone's check raising, folding aces or ace king or whatever it is. But okay, so you call. So we put 60 in on the flop, so the pot's 80, right?
Yeah, 80 without the rake. Turn
Okay.
comes a jack of clubs, which is absolutely gross.
So the front door club now comes in, right? The front door club comes in, and I don't know if you thought that was like a portion of the guy's sort of range in this particular spot, that he could have a front door flush draw here.
Probably maybe an ace X of clubs, right? Or
Mm-hmm.
or some other club combination, possibly. I mean, I didn't think I was going to get as much value from this. I mean, I'm going to get value on the turn of the river. Of course, the river is a club that's bad, but I mean, it checks to me,
Mm-hmm.
and I check it back.
Yeah, that's interesting. I know I saw when you emailed me in this hand, and I was looking at this turn. So again, Garland has queen 3 off because he's in for half a bet on the small in the small blind on the button, and flops trips king 3-3. Check to him, bets 15 under the gun, raises to 30. Garland calls. The turn is the jack of clubs. I mean, if someone's going to check raise on a club draw, are they going to check now when they get there? If I played the hand the way that you did and I didn't 3-bet the flop, I actually think that I would bet this turn for a little bit of protection and a little bit of value. I just don't buy that he's got a flush here all that much. Once in a while you let a free card come off. I think I'd bet here. Did you consider betting?
I mean, yes, I did consider it, but I also considered what if he raises and I'm going to throw up. So,
I mean, if he check raises the turn, you probably can fold, right? I mean, you look at the pot odds and you count your outs, right? I mean, that's kind of the way that I would think about it, right? Like if you didn't have, if you didn't have the proper price to continue on based upon how much he check raised, I mean, I would just fold. I wouldn't actually be scared really of bet folding in a spot like this. I mean, that's sort of just my take, on it.
Yeah, I mean, I can see. I may tend to take the slightly passive route post flop, so
okay,
that might be to my detriment. But regardless, it's through. So the river comes an interesting card. It's the Queen of Diamonds.
Okay.
Okay, so now I'm trying to gauge his sizing and whatnot, and what he bets is like under the gun bets 70, which automatically in the back of my head I'm thinking that's a pretty big bet, right, into this pot. I'm guessing he has a pretty good hand.
So he bet 70 into 80 here, right? And you fill up. You fill up at the end. Yeah. Okay.
So I think this hand is worthy of a raise.
Absolutely. I mean, what are you scared of? King's full?
We'll see. But so what do you raise to?
If I played it this way and he bet the river here, which I'm still even, and he bet, kind of full, very full size pot here, I would probably go really large here. I don't know. I mean, if you say that the guy's like nitty and he's capable of folding because it's a paired board, I guess it's slightly player dependent, but as a baseline, if I didn't know the guy and I'm playing a 2-3-5 game at the Oaks, I'm going huge. I'm going to go to like 400 or 500. Now, I don't even know how it's even possible. I mean, I don't even think that you have to worry about, I mean, yes, if you raise to 400 to 500 and then he comes back over the top all in, the hand itself just doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me the way that it's played, that I'm even really scared of anything here. I think is that what's going to happen? So you decided to raise here?
I did raise.
Okay, how much did you raise to?
I elected 220.
Yeah, I would go much, much larger. So, I mean, Garland's been around playing for profit for a long time, but I would say, Garland, that I would play probably every street different from you right now.
Okay.
I would complete pre-flop though too, but I would probably 3-bet the flop, bet the turn, and I'd go larger here at the end. All right, so you go to 220. Yep.
Okay. So I did that with the plan of actually, if you believe it or not, I was thinking I would fold if he went all in. That I think I would just bet raise fold, believe it or not.
Well, you've made it small. I mean, you went 70 to 220, and now what happens here?
Yeah. Anyway, he clicks it back to 5.
Oh, so he only went to 500. Well, then you have an easy decision, right?
Well, I mean, the pot odds, so there's 870 in the pot, right?
Yeah.
And there's 280 to call. So I have to be good almost 25%, right? Maybe more than 25%, like 26, 27, something like that.
So
according to the pot.
So it's 150, 370, and then what? So it's 800, 380 for you to call. Is that right?
280.
280.
280 call.
Right.
870 in the pot.
Yeah, so you're getting what? You're getting like 3-1, so you have to be good here 1 out of 4 times. What do you think he has?
Well, so I do lose to King 3, for example.
Uh-huh.
I do lose to, let's suppose he did limp in with a big pair of kings and queens.
Mm-hmm.
And I lose to 1 combination of queens and 3 combinations of kings, right? And then I don't know if he does it with jacks, but okay, jacks are out there too. So that's another 3 combinations of hands. And then, and then the King 3, whatever.
I mean, so you're making the assumption that he's going to limp in here with kings, jacks, queens, and play those hands as a check raise on the flop, which are probably all of those are equally as unlikely, and then check the turn, and then check the river. Excuse me, he didn't check the river. Then he bet the river, but it's just like people who slow play kings full. They just, I don't know. I mean, I understand the club came on the turn. I would be shocked if somebody actually check raises kings full here when they block all the top pair. And the other hands are really strange too. And then King 3. I mean, is he playing King 3 here? The 3-bet on the river does look super strong. Obviously, you don't have to get into what I would get into, kind of a quandary, because I would have made it huge, and then I would have been getting more of a price for a big, big pot. So, but I assume you called here.
Yeah, I really wanted to fold, but believe it or not, but I just was giving too good of a price. I did call.
Uh-huh.
I did not go over the top. I think that's the worst option of them all.
No, you can't jam over the top now, I don't think. But so what ended
No,
up happening?
He has kings.
So UTG had king and played it this way?
Yep.
Well, that is definitely a rare
You would
line.
have lost your stack.
Yeah, I
I-
probably would have lost my stack. There's a call that's coming at the end of this call-in show where I do know the results, and I'm going to give the exact way that I would play it, which results-oriented wise, people will tune in. We'll see that it sort of went down in a different way, but I stand by what I said. We don't want to be results-oriented. Thank you very much for the call, Garland. I appreciate it. Again, guys, if you want to get on the show, take a look at the FAQs or the support link that's in the description. We're moving right along here because I need to playing on a live stream. So I'm in the live chat. I'm watching everybody. Let's go to our next caller here, which is Ari in the 561. Hello, Ari.
Hey, Bart. How's it going?
Good.
Calling in from my phone. Is the audio okay?
Yep, sounds fine.
Okay, great. Okay, so this hand was played at 1-3 here in Texas. Effective stacks are 800.
Okay, so 1-3, 800. Is this a match the stack game?
Yeah, this is a match of stack game.
Okay.
Okay, so in the hand, getting right along to action, the hijack opens to $13.
Okay.
And we're in the cutoff with Jack of Hearts, Jack of Spades.
Okay.
We 3-bet to $40.
Okay.
Now, the first unexpected thing happens in the hand. The small blind cold calls the 3-bet. This is a player who's a winning tag in the game.
Okay. Cold calls your 3-bet in the small blind. Okay.
Yeah, so the hijack who opened was an action player, so he was involved in almost every hand in the couple hours I was at the table. So, I mean, I think small blind here has some range that plays well against and wants to see a flop against this action player.
Okay, so he calls.
So he calls, action player calls, and we're going to a flop.
And the action player's in the hijack, the initial opener, right?
Yeah, action player's in the hijack. I 3-bet in the cutoff.
All right, so 3 ways, 3-bet pot, 120 in there. Okay.
Okay, all right, so the flop is Queen of Hearts, 10 of Hearts, 3 of Hearts.
Queen of Hearts, 10 of Hearts, 3 of Hearts. You have Jack with the Jack of Hearts, right?
Yep, that's
as
where
the
we're at.
3-better. Okay, in a 3-way pot. Okay.
Okay, naturally, small blind checks. First interesting thing that happens now, second interesting thing that happened is the hijack donks out for $80.
So the hijack, who was the initial opener but then defended to your 3-bet, leads now into you. And of course, you are the 3-better for 80 into 120. You have jacks with the Jack of Hearts, which is the second nut flush draw here on Queen 10-3 monotone, right?
Third nut flush draw.
Third nut flush draw, right? And Queen 10-3 monotone, and you've got a guy behind you. I don't think you can fold, though. I mean, obviously, you're supposed to play tight multi-way, but I wouldn't fold jacks with a jack. I mean, I think you have to fold jacks without a heart, right?
Yeah, I don't know what to do with nines with a 9 of heart. I think
I think nines with the 9 of hearts gets even more treacherous here with the guy behind you. Obviously, nines with the 9 of hearts is a call heads up, but I think that's really where I'd probably draw the line. You know what I mean? Like, I think I would probably fold nines with the 9 of hearts with a guy behind you, but jacks I think is a very easy continue. You've got some backdoor straight draws and stuff like that if he just has like Queen X. So you called?
Okay, yeah, that's good information. Yeah, I felt like jacks with a Jack of Hearts I ditch. I felt like I continue with Ace King, Ace Jack with a heart. I feel like I continue with any Ace Queen, King Queen. Is that in your thinking? Okay.
Yeah,
cool.
yeah. Yep.
Okay, all right. So the small blind folds. So we're going to a turn. I called small blind
folds, and now 162.80. The pot is 280. Okay.
Okay. Turn is the 7 of spades.
Okay.
Just complete brick.
Yep.
Hijack continues for 225 into 280.
So now He bets 225. I mean, this is interesting here because I think maybe the action-ish nature of your player is going to maybe come into this. Like, if you didn't tell me that this guy was like a real action player, I think I would probably just fold off now at 225. But it kind of sounds to me like maybe when I'm looking on this on paper, that I very well might continue on here. And the reason why is because this seems like maybe he's got like the ace of hearts. Did that go through your mind here, Ari?
Yeah, actually, so my ranging on this player involved also his pre-flop sizing, which was very small. 13 is very small in a 1-3 game.
Uh-huh.
So I actually don't think he has ace-king with the ace of hearts. And the hand I'm really worried about is like ace-queen with the ace of hearts. I don't think he has that.
Mm-hmm.
So, my thoughts are, either he's running a bluff with the ace of hearts. Maybe he has a hand like king-jack with the king of hearts.
Mm-hmm.
He can have all the queen tens.
Mm-hmm.
He can have pocket threes. I don't think he has pocket tens, again, because of the small open.
Yeah,
So,
I mean, again, like and what Ari's saying about the small open is that you can gauge. I actually watched over that really quickly, Ari, in terms of, what's the standard open here, because that really drives the size of the game. I've seen Texas games at 1-3 match a stack where people open a 50. I've also seen games where during the day they open a 10 or 15. That really drives the action. So 13 was small for this game, even at 800 effective.
yeah, and even this specific player. So he was involved in maybe about 80% of the pots with a mixture of limping and opening, but his previous 5 opens over 2 hours were all $18 or more.
Mm-hmm.
So I saw him open in mid position to 18 with like 6-7 suited one hand. So when he opens small, I really am discounting kind of the top parts of his range. Maybe he has some suited aces though that want to build a pot multi-way. I'm not sure.
Yeah, but I don't buy that he's leading into you with the nut flush and then now go 225 on the turn. Like I said, from a baseline perspective, I would just fold off here on the turn, but I can see the reasons for continuing on against some certain players. So you call again?
Yeah.
Okay, so you make the call. So you put 450 here in on the turn. So now the pot is what, 730?
730, yeah.
the
So I did call.
Yeah, so I mean, by the way, you guys have like, well, you put in 220, 300, 4. You only have like 400 left, right? Just under 400 in your stack.
I have 500, so we put in 225 plus 80. So
pre-flop too.
Yeah.
Oh, 224. Oh, 4. So 350. Maybe. Yeah, 450. If it was 800.
About 450.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yep.
Somewhere between 450 and 500. All right. So the action goes to the river. The river is the worst, maybe the worst card in the deck. The ace of spades.
And of course, the reason why it might be the worst card in the deck is because if you was betting with some of those hands that contain the ace of hearts in it, you lose to those hands now, right?
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Okay. So interesting part. Another interesting decision. He checks.
Okay.
Obviously, if he bets, we're just done with the hand. But he checks.
Right.
Question merit to turning our hand into a bluff. I kind of looked at my range here, and I actually don't know if I have a worse hand in my range and a hand with better blocker properties than this.
I don't like it from your description. I mean, I don't know if you're asking me from like if you're trying to work it back to like an optimal type of scenario, because this is where it goes haywire. Because if you wanted to do that, you would have just folded off on the turn. I don't want to try to get your quote-unquote action player off of ace X here that he runs into. I agree that it's very unlikely that you're going to win this hand, but it wouldn't surprise me if there are actually even stronger hands here that are checking on the river because they felt like they protected through and they're going to check call, like Queen 10. Like, do you think Queen 10's going to check the river? I do.
Is Queen 10 going to fold if I jam?
No, never. That's what I'm saying. Ace X isn't going to fold, dude. So you have a sliver of showdown value here. Like, I don't see ace jack. So you've got Queen 10s that you're scared of that are going to check and call. Some aces up that might even play this way that are going to check and call. You might have a sliver of showdown value here with a hand like King 10 versus like King 10 with the King of Hearts. Who knows, 9s with the 9 of Hearts, some bullshit like that. The only thing that might put him in a really difficult spot if he were to, hands that you might get to fold out here once in a while might be like King Queen off, right, with the King of Hearts that just kept continuing to bet. queen jack, but you hold 2 of the jacks. So, and I still don't know if those hands are folding. Like, if you can't get king queen with the king of hearts to fold here, like if I'm questioning that, and you also have a sliver of showdown value, I would check it back, because I do think that once in a while you might win versus a 10, but I don't think any of those hands are going to fold. Ace X, queen 10, whatever.
Okay. All right. Yeah. All right. That was my thinking. I thought I could get king queen off with a king of hearts to fold possibly, but I don't think I'm getting ace jack with the ace of hearts. Ace 10 with ace of hearts is obviously 2 pair, and is never folding.
Mhm.
Especially with the ace of hearts blocker. So I did check back in the
Okay.
end, and Dylan tabled pocket threes. He said he checked back. I think the check back on the river is actually pretty reasonable for him.
Well,
With
so
pocket three,
what are you upset about then?
I mean, I think I played the hand well, but
Oh,
I
okay.
wanted to get.
Let me just say this, Ari. You're going to get called if he has pocket threes, for sure. I mean,
Okay,
again,
yeah.
just as a wrap, like, I don't even think he's, like, the fact that you're even considering bluffing here, I think might be the wrong approach to a guy in this game, like in Texas. And also too, yes, you're sort of down in your range, but you also called the turn when you wouldn't have if it was a normal type of hand. So we would want to look at where your range falls in, right? If you were going to fold the turn anyways, if you were trying to approach optimal. So I would just look at.
Are you folding off over pairs with no heart in them on the turn, or?
No. Over pairs with no heart? No.
Okay, so you're giving up with pocket jacks and with a jack of hearts in a vacuum.
Yeah, I'm gonna continue. I'm gonna continue on with a queen plus on the flop and on the turn, and then probably jacks is probably where I'm at. I mean, obviously, if somehow you had 3-bet with like king 10 or ace 10 off with a heart in it, you're gonna continue on there too, right? But I don't think you continue on the flop with black jacks. I don't think you continue on the flop with a suited 10 that doesn't have a heart in it. Like ace 10 suited with a guy behind you, like ace 10 of spades, something like that, I think might all be give ups, although that's a better hand to have than to have jacks, to have black jacks. But I think you definitely made the right decision.
What are your give ups on the turn? I guess jack of hearts, jack X, and are you giving up any overpairs, or you keep continuing with all your overpairs
on the turn?
Yeah.
I just said that I would continue with all my overpairs.
Okay, got it. Just wanted to clarify.
So John W says the fact that we can't win if we check back and can't bluff the river means we did something wrong here. Sometimes I wonder if you guys listen to what I said. I think that he can win sometimes on the river. If he couldn't ever win, there would be more of a case for bluffing, but he does have a sliver of showdown value. Thank you very much for the call, Ari. I appreciate it. All right, so we've got Sam, who's next, and then we're going to go to William Hung of Shebang fame. All right, so next caller here is going to be Sam, and my plan here, but the editor can take this after I'm talking about it. Sam's going to go over a hand that he played on TCH Dallas, and my plan here is if it goes well, we might cut in the video of the live stream with that nice animation that one of my editors does in, like, for example, the hand that came out today, Thomas. So this is going to be a fun one. Sam, how's it going?
Hey, Bart. Yeah, it's good. I'm excited to be on the show finally. I've had a few hands that I've submitted before, and this is the one that has made it.
So have you ever been on the show before?
No.
Are you just British or Scottish or something, or what?
I am English and just kind of living out here in Dallas right now.
Uh-oh, one of those types. U.S. driver's license.
One of these Euro regs. Yeah, these Euro regs. You want to get rid of?
I know. The English guys even hate me even more because they call them Euros. It's the worst. I once went to Ireland one time. This was when I was in college, and I got in a cab. This was in Limerick, Ireland, and I told the cab driver it was good to be in the British Isles. He literally wanted to take my head off.
Yeah, that is criminal.
Yeah. So, all right. So this was Dallas, right? What was the blind for this game?
So it's a 5-5-10 stream. It's like the Wednesday game, and it was the Wednesday that's just been.
So, do you remember what the date is for this game too?
Yeah, 1 second. The date you said?
Yeah.
So it was this Wednesday, so 27th.
Oh, okay. All right. So if people want to, I don't know if you know the time code, but if people want to watch this, they can find it, right? You had linked me to the
Yeah,
time
and
code, right?
also self-plug, I am the UK's only and biggest poker blogger, and it is in my last video.
What's your vlog?
And that's just Sam. It's just Sam Clark Poker. A few people in the
okay.
chat, I've seen the comments. I've got it on TV. A few people recognize my voice. And,
Okay, cool. I didn't know that.
They'll be able to like send a link in the chat or something.
What was the time code real quick too? Because you had sent it to me.
Yeah, I don't know.
I'll
It's towards
find-
the back end of it.
Yeah, towards the back end. Okay. All right. So 5-5-10 Wednesday. By the way, this is not the big game, right? Dallas' big game's on Tuesday, right?
It's not the really big one, no.
Yeah.
They have like a 25-50 or something.
Right,
this
right,
is
okay.
the 5-5, but we had like mandatory 10 straddle, and then
So it played
occasionally,
bigger.
like in this hand, there's a bigger straddle
Yeah.
as well.
Yeah. Okay.
So at the start of the stream, everyone bought in for about 5K. I think that was the cap, and then it was like a match stack.
Okay. All right. Cool.
So it's a pretty big game.
Okay.
So yeah, this one is actually the first and the only time the whole stream that there was a 50 straddle, I think. So
Okay.
it was 5-5-10, and then under the gun was the 50 straddle. And yeah, this hand is it's a pretty good example of why games are so great in Texas. So
So what are
I
the
opened
effective
the low
stacks?
jack. I have 3.7,
Okay.
and I think
3.7.
the main villain in this has about the same.
All right. So 3.7K. So really, you're not that
Yeah.
deep with this straddle, right? If you're going to open a 150, I think that's another thing
Yeah.
that a lot of people I've talked about just don't pick up on, because these games, like, I mean, I'm going to the Palms right after this. Like, we played the entire game last week, 5-10, 25, 50, 100. And there were a lot of people
Yeah.
with just like 5K, and that's only 50 big blinds. So you're really not that deep. You're only 60 big blinds. All right. So 3.7K effective with a $50 under the gun straddle. Okay.
Yeah, exactly. So without the straddle, I have like 370 big blinds, so it is pretty deep. But then when there's this extra straddle on,
Yeah.
less so.
Yeah. Okay.
So yeah, I opened to 200. I don't know what you think about that sizing, but I was like, I want to get this kind of heads up or three ways.
What position are you in?
Everyone on the table calling. I am the low jack, and I have king jack off. I don't know the actual suits. I think I sent it in the email.
So you open it. So you open a 200. So it's 4x. I mean, the only thing
Yeah.
that I would say is that I do tend to make it. I mean, you're so shallow, it might not matter. But I do think that actually opening a little bit smaller when you're not playing this big straddle all the time, I think it matters if the hands are all straddled all the time, where it is truly just like a $50 blind game, or if it's just once in a while or once a round. I tend to just like to make it 3x to keep the pot a little bit more manageable, so that you at least have some maneuverability. Because then if you get 3-bet, not that you're going to necessarily defend with king jack off to a 3-bet, it becomes more manageable. There's one other thing too, Sam Clark Poker, that I'm going to note here is that this is when you're playing in a multiple straddle game like here, where you've got 4 straddles. The low jack is in essence almost like +1 or under the gun, right? Depending on what your definition of low jack is. I think a lot of people don't get that.
Yeah.
Where they're like, oh, I'm on the button. Well, you're on the button, but there's 5 or 6 straddles or blinds. There's 6 people that haven't acted just because you're on the button. It's not the true button. So you have to adjust to that.
Yeah.
So
I think there was either one player before me, or I was literally first to act pre-flop. Yeah.
Right. So I would
So I
tend
was,
to
like,
go
pretty
just a
bad
little. I would
position.
tend to go a little bit smaller, but okay, you make it 200. Okay.
Yeah, and like you said, I'm not defending this if anyone 3-bets anyway.
Yeah.
So as I was saying, I made it 4x so that I would try and get heads up or 3-way, and the hijack call, button, and straddle call.
So the hijack calls, the button calls, which are two guys.
hijack, cut off, button, and straddle. So 5
Hijack,
ways.
cut off, button, and straddle call.
Yeah, so 5 ways, and I only have position on one of them, so it didn't go very well pre-flop.
So 5 ways, and you're basically out of position. Just you're in position against the straddle, and the pot's like 1,000, right?
Yeah, pot is 1,020. Just
Okay.
the blinds on top.
By the way, you have King of Hearts, Jack of Clubs. Someone said in the live chat, so I'm gonna put that in there.
Okay, cool.
All right, cool.
Yeah, so obviously my first thought when I see that many people call is I'm going to need to connect really hard with this flop to be able to continue with any aggression here. Like even a king on its own isn't going to be enough probably. So we get a flop of king of diamonds, jack of diamonds, 3 of hearts. So
Oh, so you flop.
those qualify
Yeah, you
connecting hard.
flop top two. Just one quick thing on what you had said just a second ago there, where you're like, well, I'm going to proceed with caution, with the king. What's interesting, as I have said recently on the content, is that not only do cash game players not play tournaments that well unless they take the time to look at short stacks, but they don't seem to play in Texas these short stack scenarios very well either, because when you open king jack, like, somebody should be 3-betting you with king queen off like 50 big blinds effective. Like, the offsuit hands go up in value, but you don't see a reflection of that. So if they were playing well pre and you flopped a king, I wouldn't be all that concerned. But because they're flatting with a lot of hands, because the stakes get very large, it gets weird. That's what I would say. Obviously, this is a good flop for you, right? Top two. Okay.
Yeah, and it's top two with a flush draw present, and I thought that, like, obviously all of these guys are VPIPing pretty high, and a lot of the extra hands that get added into these calling ranges that aren't in maybe a tighter player's range is these kind of like low disconnected suited cards. So there's going to be lots of flush draws that I can get value from by betting here, I thought, as well as maybe some like ace jack that, like you said, maybe should be a 3-bet but isn't. And then like king 10 suited, that kind of thing.
If you started with 3,700 and now you only have 35, so you only have 3.5 pot size bets left, I'd go like 400 here. Maybe even five. Actually, you're up against 4 other people, right? Like 500, 500, something like that. I mean, it's fine to start going larger.
Yeah.
So what did you do? You got
I thought I want to. Yeah, it did check to me, which I think is just the straddle, if I remember right. And then I was deciding on sizing, and I thought I actually want to be betting pretty big here because of what I just said. There's going to be lots of draws to charge, and there'll be some random king and jack X that should have 3-bet me probably.
Yep.
But then it's a very multi-way pot, so I just generally don't bet over half pot in those situations, so I bet 400.
Okay. So you bet 400.
Yep. And only the hijack calls.
So next to act calls.
Going heads up to a turn.
Next to act calls.
Everyone else folds.
All right. Fold out. So that's interesting because next to act calls, obviously that should be much stronger, right? Than like if it got folded back around to the straddle. He really should have like a flush draw or a king here. I mean, I guess he could have queen 10 too. It wouldn't surprise me if someone's got queen 10 off, but I mean, he really shouldn't be calling with the jack. I don't know anything about, I did watch the video a little bit, but he looked like he was a younger guy. I think I'd seen him on here before, but I didn't know anything about how he played. So folds out. So you put in 800, so it's 1820 to the turn, right?
1820, yeah. And just on the villain, the reads I had, this is the first time I played with him, but he seems to be VPIPing pretty high, kind of standard Texas live game player.
Okay.
That's what I can work out.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So 1820,
Turn is very bad, 2 of diamonds.
So 2 of diamonds, king of diamonds, jack of diamonds, 3 of hearts, turns a king, deuce of diamonds, hero has king jack in this mega straddle pot, starting with 3,700, 5, 5, 10, 50. And he bet 400, which I do think is a little bit on the smaller side, into 1,020. And I mean, the only thing to be said, I see some people saying, oh, bet really, really large. Occasionally, if you actually bet small, you might induce somebody to just jam on you with a draw, which is obviously good, right, Sam? Like, with so shallow. And if you just bet large, they might call. But Sam bets 400 on king jack 3 with top 2. Next at calls, folds back out 1820, turn, comes in the front door, deuce of diamonds. Okay, so I assume you check now?
Yeah, so I'm checking, and I'm checking with the intention of folding to any decently sized bet as well, because of what I said pre-flop. I think a lot of these ranges that are wider are filled out with like suited cards, and this is a bad card. If he doesn't have a flush, this is a bad card for anything else that he called me with, right? Like any king or whatever probably isn't loving this.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't.
So I expected him to check back a lot.
I wouldn't blindly say that I'm just folding. I mean, I think it's going to depend. Like, I mean, he bets like 450 or 500 here. I'm going to call.
Yeah, any reasonable size. Anything like anywhere near half pot, I'm probably folding.
So you said he checked back. Is that right?
And he very quickly checked back. Like I checked, and by the time I looked over to him, he was already tapping the table.
So that usually is indicative that he might have a king here, right? I mean, what I would say about bet pacing, because I think that that's really an important live tell, one of the few that I really use a lot. You can sometimes do hand rating based upon bet pacing, where this wouldn't really be consistent with some portion of his range, like a lot of flushes. I think he would think about it if he was going to slow play. Nut flushes, even if he was going to check it back, he might think about it. Smaller flushes, he's got to think about he wants to protect. If he had like queen 10 here, he'd want to at least think about using this card as a bluff. And so
Yeah, exactly.
it tends to just sort of fall into like maybe he's got king 9, king 10 off, some bullshit like that. So I do like the spot. So a hijack checks behind. Hopefully you're going to get a clean river here.
Yeah, so I completely agree with your logic on
Mhm.
that part. And so I was thinking on a clean river, like a 2 or a 3 or something like this, I'm just probably going to value bet small. But yeah, this was not a clean river. We got the 8 of diamonds.
Oh, okay.
So yeah.
So king jack 3 deuce 8, and now king jack 3 front door diamonds. You flop top 2, bet next act calls. Turn's not a great card. Deuce of diamonds, but it goes check check. And now the river rolls off a 4th flush card. You know, obviously you don't have a diamond, so you have top 2 here, but it rolls off 4 diamonds. And at this point now, obviously sense to bet because you just be bluffing your hand. And I do think you have showdown value. Here's sort of my take right now is that you hope he has a king that doesn't have a diamond and it'll just check back. If you check and he bets, you sort of, I think, have to evaluate. It's fairly interesting in this particular spot. Okay, so I assume you check?
I check, and again, I'm pretty much done with the hand now. I'm planning on folding to any reasonably sized bet. I think there is going to be some combos in his range that he has like a decent 1 diamonds. For example, one of the main ones would be like king, queen with the queen of diamonds that didn't 3-bet but probably should have done, like you mentioned.
Mm-hmm.
So I check, and the pot is 1820, and he bets 600. And I didn't snap fold because straight away it caught my curiosity, like, why are you betting 1/3? If all of the diamonds that you're going to want to bet here on the river are going to be big ones like queen, pretty much just the queen and ace, I thought would be the ones that he probably should value bet to try and get caught by worse. Because considering I think I don't end up here with many big diamonds myself, given this line, but probably some. Yeah, I just thought that was a little bit strange. So then I thought, are you actually value betting like a smaller diamond here, like the 9, which would be weird. And yeah, given just the way he played the hand, I couldn't think of many big flushes that he could have. I didn't think it was possible for him to have the ace of diamonds because, like you said, he would at least think about betting the turn. If he had something like ace queen or ace 10 off with the ace of diamonds, I think he's definitely going to at least consider bluffing this turn. If he has the nut flush on the turn, he's going to bet it most likely, or a big flush. So yeah, suddenly it's just really weird, and I've literally never done this before in my life, and I'm very interested to hear what you think about it. But I decided to turn this top 2 pair, which now doesn't seem like it's winning, into a bluff.
Okay, so don't say the result. Okay, so what did you check raise to? You all in?
So I check raise to 1,500 because I didn't think it needed to be all in because either he's bluffing or he's going to have like a small diamond given that size. I thought anything that puts money in when I check raise is going to be the ace of diamonds, and he's going to jam on me anyway. So why would I need to go all in?
So let me give you my take here at the end. And I do, like I said, I did see the result, but I'm going to give my entirely sort of, kind of honest take here. Now, obviously the ranges can be wide pre-flop, but in general, I don't like this play. And here's why. And especially for your sizing. So when you have a strong hand on a 4 flush board that is not a flush, meaning like your hand just went to shit like it did here, right? So you have a bluff catcher, like any hand here that's not a flush, with the exception of pocket 3s, which I think we can pretty much almost discount that, right? You're going to beat any hand that's not a flush here. Do we agree with that? You beat any hand that's not a flush here. So when you beat any hand that's not a flush here, and he bets on the river at the end, then your hand is a bluff catcher. And we wouldn't want to take a bluff catcher and turn it into a bluff. Now, especially for your sizing here, I find it very, very hard to believe that he can ever really have a low diamond here. Like in spots like this, it concerns me a little bit that he's bet so small because it does seem kind of value-y. But in spots like this, I would call way, way before I would raise. And the thing is that like, if he is, this is the way I look at it. He either is bluffing, he maybe turns something into a bluff that's on a diamond, you call, you win, right? Or he's betting a diamond that is not going to fold to a check raise. Because what diamonds here, if you put yourself in his position, Sam, what diamonds are you betting? Where is your cutoff? If you are your opponent, what are you going to bet here at the end that you can get here with, given the action?
Yeah, so probably Queen of Diamonds would be the bottom of what I would bet here, and anything
Okay.
lower than that, I would just check behind and hope to win.
So if you were playing against yourself, do you see why check raising King Jack would be a bad play here?
Oh yeah, horrendous. Yeah, I totally agree. I wouldn't do it against myself because I would actually have the right hands to value bet.
I tend to think that like a lot of live players, if they're recreational, they like to take showdown. I mean, I always call them like showdown monkeys. They like to take a lot of showdowns. They like to take a lot of showdowns, and they don't even value bet the hands that they have. So whenever in a situation like this, and then because you made it so small, I mean, obviously if the guy is really wide, if he was playing anything normal to sort of reasonable pre-flop ranges, he really can't have any low diamond here. Like you say, well, I mean, it looks like he's like value betting the 7 diamonds. How does he have the 7 of diamonds? He called next to act on the flop. The board is King Jack 3, unless he's playing like King 7 off. So really, like the lowest diamond that he can credibly have here would be like the 10 of diamonds if you called with like Queen 10 off or Jack 10 off or King 10 off or something like that. Like, I don't even think he can have a 9 here. Because even Jack 9, like, he's not going to call next act on the flop. So, of his flushing hands that are possible, that are played this way, they're all 10 of diamonds plus. So, I don't like the raise here because those hands aren't going to fold. So, he's either bluffing and you have the best hand, or he's value betting the 10 of diamonds plus here. And this is just not going to work. In general, you don't want to take a bluff catching hand and turn it into a bluff. That doesn't really make a whole lot of sense.
I would counter.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I would counter one thing here, that if you bet the Queen of Diamonds and get check raised on this river for a small value looking sizing, I would say you're still not living your life. And especially if it's like the 10 or the 9, I think it's going straight in the muck. And that's kind of what my thought process was.
You thought that this guy would bet a 10 here and then fold to. He bet 6 into 18, and you made it 1,500, which is super small. So the pot's going to be 4,900 for you to call. You think that he's going to fold the Queen of Diamonds here or the 10 of Diamonds for that sizing?
Yeah, I did, and that's why I did it. Yeah, it was like I said, I've never done this before, and I totally see why you shouldn't do this. Like I don't.
I mean, listen, if you wanted to get
it's purely an exploit.
I would, if you wanted to make that case to me, I would check raise all in. I think all in is a much better sizing than 1,500 because of the price.
But then I thought but then I thought he then can still have the ace of diamonds, right? So, I mean, it would be weird for him to have it. I didn't think he would, but there is a small chance that he has it, and I don't think I need to lose like the full stack. I thought like it will get the folds from the hands I'm targeting for this size, and it just gave me a really good price on just purely like. Obviously, if I get called, I'm never good, right? So my hand has 0 equity. And this bluff that I worked out the sizing, so the pot is 2,400, and me putting in 1,500, it needs to work 37% of the time, I think it was.
Right, because once he bet 6 and 18,
I just thought it worked that much.
Right, so, and of course, he's supposed to defend down because you are only risking 15 to win 24, and you only need to be good 37% of the time. He's supposed to defend down with 63% of the hands he gets here with for value, which all those diamonds probably fit into. I just think that.
But I just don't think it is. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't. Here's again, this is super. My sort of experience from live exploit, because I really do feel like Texas games are pretty far behind sometimes in terms of learning curve. In general, when these boards get 4 flushing, people become very, very polarized in the sense that they're either going to check back a hand that they should value bet, and when they do bet at the end, because they're checking back so much medium strength value, they become polarized to a very strong hand or a bluff. Your hand is a perfect candidate for a bluff catch here because you beat every hand that's not a flush. So that's why I would not really bet the river here. And it seems, raise the river as a bluff. And it just doing normal hand reading, he never really should have a diamond below a 10 here, if that is even betting. Now, tell us what happened. So you check raise to 1,500. Okay.
Yep, I check raised to 1,500, and he snap folds 5-3 of diamonds face up.
So the hijack. This is on video because I saw it, and like I said, hopefully Thomas, who is in the live chat right now, our animator, who does these nice videos that we've been doing once a week. We'll try to use this one because I want to split in Thomas from France, another Euro in the live chat. I want to split in the live stream video. Maybe we can do a little cut. So I saw this, and what's so crazy to me, Sam Clark Poker about this hand is that this guy checked back the turn with a flush, and then he bet the 5-high flush at the end. What
on
is
the
going
worst
on
card possible
here?
for him. Yeah.
I don't. Like I said though, I'm still not a fan of your play. I'm going to be 100% honest for you. I mean, this just seems like I wouldn't. I mean, obviously I believe it, and I saw it, so I believe it. But if somebody had called this in, and I would have been, and I didn't see the video, I'd have been like, this. If this happened, it would be such an outlier, because it's so hard for someone to show up with a small diamond on the river here because of the way the hand went down.
Yeah.
They would literally have to check a made flush on the turn and then value bet a 4 flush at the end with the 5 of diamonds. It's so bizarre.
All what I thought is he's going to have like queen 10 with the 10 of diamonds or something for that size was more what I was targeting. It's definitely a crazy one.
Thank you very much for the call. I appreciate it, Sam. I didn't know Sam was a vlogger, so take it easy. Oh man, that was that was one was really off the rails. All right, so we're gonna go to our last caller here. I got to set something up here. This is gonna be a non-hand call, and if I can get this thing going here, William Hung. I saw your video
This
earlier.
call is being recorded.
Do you got video now? All right, cool. I'm recording this locally so that we can use this for a video. People on the live stream aren't gonna see it. William Hung, of course, if you guys know, was on, American Idol maybe, 10, 15 years ago, now plays poker professionally, right? Is that right?
Yes, full time.
Full time. All right, so you got what's your question here, William?
My question is how to balance family and poker, because I'm thinking about starting a family, not like really soon, maybe in the next 2 to 3 years, but I'm looking for a girlfriend and whatnot, and I'm not sure like how to communicate like your poker passion and the risk that you take with your loved one, because Bart, I know that you have a very successful poker business, successful Crush Live Poker website. You have a family now. So like, how do you get there?
Well, I don't mean to get too personal. Were you married? Are you divorced?
Yeah, I mean, just to put some context out there, I did get married and divorced twice in the past.
Okay.
But now it's not really related.
So now you're back on the market. Is that what's going on?
Yeah.
You're back on the market. I mean, what's interesting here, and I think that I'll give you, my best take, because I don't have the type of experience yet to talk about this firsthand, because obviously I'm just starting a family now. By the way, I am officially not playing the main event. I had grumbled about that last week, but I'm not going, just because my wife, like I said, she's about 36 along. She's having a little bit of a difficult time here in the last part. And I don't want my mom to come out. She injured herself on the plane on the way back after she came out last time, and I want them to be here at the birth. So I got a lot of shit to do here, so I can skip it 1 year. It's fine. So I haven't had to have that sort of balance yet between playing and obviously, balancing a family. So I'm probably going to know here like in the next couple months. But then with COVID happening, my sort of business shifted mostly a lot to doing stuff out of the house, YouTube, just being pretty much one of the only content creators on Crush Live Poker, doing most of I just sort of poured all my time into the business. And I kind of see that happening also in the future, where maybe I'll come out and play once a week, obviously for content. But the struggle that I would see if you were to have a family and you wanted to maximize playing poker as your primary source of income is usually the games are best at night, normally. Now, you can obviously still, you can still get good games during the day. I remember there used to be really good games in California during the day. But as I was saying before, especially in a restricted buy-in game, now I know you had said that you moved to Jacksonville, and I think that's the only problem with Jacksonville is it's Jacksonville. But in terms of everything else, and what I mean is that like it's northern Florida. I mean, it's dirt cheap to live there, and the game is as good as I've ever seen a $5 game. But it's Jacksonville. But there is a cap buy-in, I think, at 5.5, so it's 800 cap. So, whenever you're dealing with a cap buy-in, although that's not really super restrictive like the small, cap is whenever you're dealing with cap line, you're going to win more if you stay longer, right? And you get deeper with people. And that can sometimes be a problem during the day. So yes, it's all about finding a balance, obviously, with your family. I would not grind unless you're like 21, 22 years old, because I think you're going to get burnt out. Grind and then put family to the side too. Even if you're trying to find like a new relationship. I mean, it's obviously a balance. And, the other thing too, William, for you, we had talked a little bit about how you have the opportunity to do Cameo stuff, right? YouTube now makes money for me. It never used to. Once they stuck in mid-rolls last year, YouTube is a money-making thing. And I assume that you can supplement your main income, part of your poker income with like Cameo. I don't know how much you can make from that or if you can live off of that. But I always tell people that you shouldn't do poker as a long-term thing full-time as a primary source of income forever. It should be something that maybe supplements or somewhat part-time. And it's a combination of, it's a volatile job. It can be stressful. It can affect other things in your life. Sometimes it's not steady money. You'll get burnt out. Sometimes it's not necessarily the healthiest of things. Sometimes you have to keep weird hours. I can keep going down sort of the list. So I think it's good as a part-time gig, maybe as something for supplemental income, something that you enjoy, maybe as a means to the goal of making some money in the short term to do something else. So I can't really give you dating advice besides the fact that like I was a little bit too late for Tinder. I've never been on Tinder. Some of my other friends have been on, some of my other friends have been on this site called Seeking Arrangement, which was like China to me. Like when I say by China is like, I've been to China like 20 times, and they sort of have this thing kind of, I would say a lot of women in China sort of expect you to pay them just to go on dates. They're not prostitutes. They just go on dates. And I think that happens on this site called Seeking Arrangement too. And then also they're prostitutes, but I've never been on any of those sites. So, but now being online, obviously you've got online dating and stuff like that. I don't know what the scene is in Jacksonville, but yeah, I mean, if you're actively looking, the fact that if you're going to play late nights, that's going to affect your overall life too, right? So it's got a lot to do with sort of the time of day you want to play and if you want to maximize.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. So that's why I'm asking you, like, is this something you do now? You just tell your wife, hey, I need to play on the weekends on the best times, and then of course she's not going to be okay with that.
Well, I mean, that's interesting too, because I've heard that from usually younger people explaining it to their parents, right? Some people will just have, I assume, a red flag, like, oh, this guy gambles, it's not a real thing. And, luckily for me, I can point to things. Like if I was in that situation, I mean, my parents got over that hump like a long time ago where they're actually proud of me. And I just think that as you're meeting new people, if I was in the dating scene, I would just explain to people but I would have things I could point to that aren't just I'm playing poker, right? Yeah, I mean, personally, I would never. Obviously, everybody's taste is different, but I wouldn't want to get serious with somebody as a new relationship that didn't understand that you play poker for profit, you study the game, and it's a means to an end where you're actually making money. You're not a degenerate gambler, because some people don't know the difference, right?
Yeah.
So I would I would just, at your comfort level, at your leisure level, tell them, right away, and see how they are about it.
Yeah, that's a good point.
How much Cameo work do you get?
It's hard to say, because on my best months, it's easily enough by itself to support as a primary source of income.
Mm-hmm.
But on the slow months, maybe not enough.
Not enough to live off of. Yeah.
Yeah, like just by Cameo alone.
Mm-hmm.
But this Cameo business side of me, like I only started during the pandemic, like last year.
Mm-hmm.
So it's still hard to say where that goes. But I'm grateful, it like even a couple $1,000s a month, it means a lot. It really helps.
Yeah, and you could just pump out like one or two of those, and it would take you less than a half an hour a day, right?
Oh yeah. It's the
This is
easiest
the
money I
easiest
can
gig in
make
the
compared to
world. Yeah.
poker.
I mean, so you have an advantage over, someone else that doesn't have that, right? So that's obviously a very good thing, and that gives you additional flexibility where maybe
Yeah.
you don't have to push those max hours at those weird times of the day that might restrict you from starting a family or getting, another family. What I was going to say to you though is just from my experience during COVID and, recognizing that YouTube can be another revenue source, and then having a subscription kind of explosion or a really huge gain in subscribers from a combination of getting out on YouTube. Whereas I don't actually pay attention to Instagram and all that bullshit that much, where I used to concentrate on that. But YouTube is like a thing. Getting out on YouTube, Hustler Casino live commentary have driven a lot of people into my business. And I wouldn't take the Cameo thing lightly, put it that way. Like I would say, I didn't get a chance to look at your video, even though you had sent it to me before. But even though it's easy, it's also easy to improve things about what you do, like not just on Cameo, but for anybody. Like maybe you want to improve your setup. Maybe you want to get a microphone like me. Maybe you want to get some sort of backdrop where, you're just taking some time. I mean, I could see maybe that takes away from the casual nature of what Cameo is supposed to be. The point is that I wouldn't just blow it off and then be like, okay, here's the thing. Because it would be unfortunate to lose out on something like that can bring in auxiliary income that can help you have an advantage in this situation over other people that don't have that.
Oh, I totally agree. Yes.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So I hope I answered your question.
Yeah, well, let me ask you this. I've been thinking about transitioning to online poker.
Uh-huh.
So let's assume that location money is not an issue. I can move anywhere that I think it would be best if I were to make this kind of transition.
Yeah.
So have you played online recently? How do you feel about it? Like because I know here's what I know. I know online is a lot harder than live poker.
I don't think that online. I mean, it's sad for me to say, but I would not put my eggs in thinking that online poker is going to be any sort of long-term profitability. I know that there's online gambling, sports books and poker now opening up in a lot of different states. I actually know quite a bit about this because I was contracting for a company that had investigated getting a license. I don't really see any type of substantial national sort of player pooling happening anytime soon. And the problem is, like I was reading, I don't go on 2+2 all that much, but the problem is I was reading something on MVG. Like there's a scandal out there right now where like one of the best players, I think he's a Chinese guy, like he's just openly bragging that he uses like real-time assistance, and then he hires people kind of like under a stable, and you can see how that play out where somebody rents some cloud space and runs these sort of real-time sims that assist you while you're playing, and then you get a bunch of horses that have access that can hook up to that server. I see it dying. Nobody plays chess for money against somebody else online is the easiest thing that I can equate it to. You're not going to go and play somebody in chess that says if you're a 1400 that they're a 1400 and just trust that they're not using a chess computer behind the scenes or an engine to play. So, you have these agent app sites, which are a little bit mimic more like a home game, but they're highly raked, and you're not playing through the site. You're playing sort of a collection of clubs. Those seem to be softer, but from everything else I've seen, I don't really see it as a viable thing. I think live is a viable thing. I think you're in the best area for $5 games. I got to tell you, I mean, I've been all over the country and I haven't seen anything better than Jacksonville. Like I said, the problem is it's Jacksonville. But
what's your problem with Jacksonville?
I don't. I just haven't really. Brian Hastings lives in Jacksonville too. If he gets, but I don't. There's just not a whole lot. Northern Florida is just not my thing. You know what I mean? It's just maybe somebody can say, "Hey, Jacksonville is a lovely place." I've never heard anyone say that. So, but I mean, if it works for you, it works for you. But yeah, I mean, that's sort of my take. But it definitely has a very, very low cost of living too. But I do think if you want to play at that level, or Texas, you could come to Texas and play bigger For sure. It might even be because I know that they rake the games a lot in Florida too. So not quite as much as LA.
Yeah.
But I would consider
Yeah.
going to Texas. Take a trip to Dallas. They'll probably get you on the live stream. Take a trip to San Antonio. Take a trip to Austin. Take a trip to Houston. See if you want to settle down there. I'm going to have to run because I got to go play on a live stream.
Okay, sounds good.
So I'm going to go play at the Palms. But
All right,
but
good
thanks
luck.
thanks for the call. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Bart.
All right, guys, that's going to wrap it up for us. Again, I've got a shout out to Thomas Randall in the YouTube live chat. He is an animator, and he has done some of those videos with very, very nice animation. One that came out today. You've seen we've started to do this a little bit, like once a week. Shout out to him. I've never seen him in the live chat before. And thank you guys again for joining me. I'm going to head over to the Palms, and that game starts, I want to say, at 7 Central, so 8 Eastern time. Last week, we played 25-50, 100. 25-50, 100. So I had heard that it's going to be a very similar lineup, so I'm really looking forward to that. Again, I'm skipping the main event. Good luck to everybody that's going to go out there and play. I'm a little jealous, but some things have to come first. Family's got to come first. So hope everyone has a good time out there. And we will see you guys all next time. Have a good week. Bye-bye.